I trace the rim of my water glass with my index finger, watching the light refract through my mother's prized crystal. The Blake family dinner table all mahogany, and superiority stretches between us like a battlefield. Mom's silverware gleams under the chandelier, each piece positioned with military precision. Andrew leans back in his chair, swirling his third glass of Cabernet. So the merger finally went through, he announces. The partners are bringing me on as junior executive counsel, starting salaries north of 300. Dad's eyes light up. He reaches across to clap Andrew on the shoulder. That's my boy. Mom beams, dabbing the corner of her mouth with her linen napkin. We're so proud. The Harrisons were just telling us how Thomas is still trying to make partner at his firm. I feel their eyes shift to me, like predators evaluating prey. How's your little project going, Madison? Dad asks, the word project hanging in the air like something foul. We just secured a new contract, I say, keeping my voice even. The client's under NDA, but it's significant. Dad's gaze slides off me, unimpressed. He cuts into his prime rib, dismissing my words without a single one of his own. Mom straightens, her face brightening. Did you hear Olivia Park made senior vice president at Goldman? Her mother mentioned it at the club yesterday. 32 and already running their Asia division. She looks directly at me. You two were such good friends at Harvard. We weren't. We took exactly one class together. That's wonderful for her, I reply. Dad sets down his knife and fork, leveling his gaze at me. When are you going to stop playing entrepreneur and get a real job, Madison? There it is. I knew it was coming, but the familiar sting still catches me off guard. Andrew chimes in, his voice dripping with artificial concern. You're almost 34, Maddie. Still working out of that garage? My hand tightens around my water glass. I fight the urge to correct him. It's not a garage anymore. It hasn't been for months. Not that they've bothered to visit. Instead, I glance at my watch. 8:59 p.m. Just one more minute. My mind drifts back to 4 years ago. I see myself in tailored navy blue, hair pulled back, standing in the gleaming conference room of Preston and Mitchell Consulting. The PowerPoint slide behind me detailing the critical security vulnerability I'd discovered in their client's banking system. This could compromise millions of accounts, I'd explained, pointing to the code I'd isolated. The CTO had leaned back, arms crossed. Stay in your lane, Blake. We hired you for implementation, not system architecture. 2 weeks later, I'd walked out of their offices with my personal items in a box and my resignation letter on my boss's desk. I'd left behind my 6-figure salary, the corner office, and any last illusion that corporate America would ever value what I had to offer. She's throwing away everything she worked for. I'd overheard Dad tell Mom that night on the phone. When I sold my Mercedes to fund the first round of server equipment, Dad cut off my access to the family investment accounts. If you want to act like a rebellious teenager, I won't fund it. When I mortgaged my condo to make payroll during month 7, Andrew had shown up unannounced at my door. I've got a great therapist, Maddie. This midlife crisis is getting out of hand. Every holiday became an exercise in deflection. Let's not discuss Madison's situation, Mom would say whenever relatives asked about my work. Gradually, I stopped mentioning Blake Cyber around them. I built a new family from my small, loyal teen people who believed in what we were creating even when the code failed and the midnight oil burned low. 3 phones ping in perfect unison. 9 p.m. I watch the color drain from my father's face as he reads the notification. Mom fumbles for her reading glasses, squinting at her screen. Andrew freezes, wine glass suspended halfway to his lips. The Bloomberg headline glows on their devices. Tech startup Blake Cybersecure's multi-million government contract. Valuation hits $750 million. I lift my glass of water and take a slow, deliberate sip. The ice clinks gently against crystal as chaos erupts around me. Madison, what is this? Dad's voice cracks on my name. Mom's hand trembles as she scrolls through the article. $750 million? That can't be right. Andrew sets down his wine with enough force to slosh red liquid onto the pristine tablecloth. You closed the Pentagon contract? That was your NDA? I simply nod, placing my glass back on the table with precision. What would you do if your family spent years mocking your dreams only to discover you'd built something worth more than they could imagine? Stay with me, because my response will leave you speechless. The silence fractures like thin ice. This must be a mistake? Dad's voice cracks, his fingers trembling as they grip his phone. I take another sip of water, letting the moment stretch. The crystal catches the light, sending prisms dancing across the pristine tablecloth. No mistake. My voice is steadied, voice I use in boardrooms with skeptical investors. The Pentagon contract came through last week. We beat out IBM and 3 other major security firms. Mom fumbles with her reading glasses, tapping frantically at her screen. 750 million? That can't possibly be right. The valuation's actually conservative, I say, setting down my glass. We turned down JP Morgan Chase's buyout offer last month. Andrew's eyes narrow, his wine forgotten. What was the offer? 900 million. I keep my tone casual, as if discussing the weather. It didn't align with our 5-year plan. Dad's face performs a complex transformation shock dissolves into calculation. Disbelief hardens into opportunity. I've seen this expression in negotiations. It's the look of someone reassessing your value mid-conversation. Sweetheart, this is extraordinary. Mom's already reaching for her phone. I must tell Caroline at the club. She was just saying how her son's tech venture folded last quarter. Your mother and I always knew you had potential, Dad says, leaning forward. His voice drops to a conspiratorial whisper. You know, I could help manage some of this. The tax implications alone will be substantial. Andrew reaches into his suit jacket and slides a business card across the polished mahogany. You'll need a financial advisor now, someone who understands family wealth. I pick up the card, Andrew Blake, Wealth Management Partner. The logo of his firm gleams in embossed silver. I turn it over in my fingers, remembering the email I received 6 months ago from an investor who had heard concerns about my company. Interesting, I say, standing slowly. The chair scrapes against the hardwood floor. I've been wondering why Kiernan Capital pulled out of our Series B round at the last minute. Dad's eyebrows lift. Madison, sit down. We're celebrating your news. The partner at Kiernan mentioned that someone close to me had warned them off. I look directly at Andrew, whose face has gone perfectly still. They said my own brother told them to avoid my crazy sister's doomed project. Andrew's throat works. That's I never. You told your entire network to blacklist me. My voice remains level, factual. You called my CTO and told him he was making a career-ending mistake. Mom's tears start the practice. Elegant kind that never smudge her mascara. Madison, please. Your brother would never. Your exact words to the Hansons last Christmas were that I was having an embarrassing midlife crisis. I turned to her, recalling every cutting remark. You told Mrs. Parker one was playing businesswoman when she asked about my company. The tears transform, becoming something real and raw as the truth lands. Dad pushes back from the table. Now wait just a minute. We've always supported. You cut me off financially when I sold my car to buy servers. I interrupt. You told Grandma I was throwing away my education when she asked why I missed Thanksgiving. My phone vibrates with a text. I glance down. Alex, CTO. Did you tell them yet? A small smile touches my lips. Alex, who turned down Google to work out of that garage. Maria, who coded for 36 hours straight when we were racing to patch the vulnerability that put us on the map. Raj, who sold his motorcycle to help us make payroll during month 5. My real family. I remember last Christmas eating takeout Thai food on the floor of our first real office, while my parents and Andrew posted photos from Aspen on Instagram. Where are you going? Mom asks as I collect my purse from the sideboard. Home, I say, meaning the converted warehouse where my team is waiting to celebrate. Not this mausoleum of familial disappointment. Madison. Dad's voice hardens into the tone that once made me flinch. Don't be dramatic. We've always believed in you. I pause at the entryway, fishing something from my bag. The house key they gave me when I turned 16 glints under the chandelier light. I place it deliberately on the marble console table. Success isn't what you think it is, I say, meeting each of their eyes in turn. It's not a number on a balance sheet or a headline in Bloomberg. It's building something that matters with people who believe in you when no one else does. The door closes behind me with a soft, definitive click. Outside, the night air feels clean and sharp in my lungs. My phone buzzes again, me team, waiting to pop the champagne we've earned together. I slide into my car and exhale 4 years of accumulated disappointment. Ahead lies the future we built from nothing but belief and sleepless nights. Behind me sits a house full of people who only value what they can measure in dollars. I start the engine and drive toward the people who saw my vision when it was just lines of code on a whiteboard in a rented garage. The ones who never needed a headline to believe. I plug in the secondhand desk lamp, its weak yellow glow barely reaching the corners of our 500 square foot garage. Outside, San Francisco fog presses against the windows like a living thing, obscuring the 3 a.m. darkness. My breath creates small clouds in the unheated space. Try it again, I tell Raj, our CTO. My voice sounds hollow in the concrete box we call headquarters. He taps a series of commands on his keyboard, the blue light from his monitor casting shadows across his exhausted face. 5 other figures hunch over workstations made from doors laid across sawhorses, their faces illuminated by screens. 7 outcasts, including me, united by rejection from the tech establishment. Running test sequence, Raj murmurs. Our whiteboard dominates the back wall, a chaotic constellation of cybersecurity protocols, attack vectors, and defense mechanisms. The math behind our algorithm stares down at us, daunting, promising, maddening in its complexity. We've been at this for 17 days straight. Server response is still timing out. Zoe rubs her eyes, the dark circles beneath them matching mine. The protocol's collapsing under load stress. I drain my 3rd energy drink, ignoring the tremor in my hands. Let's reconfigure the authentication layer. The vulnerability has to be there. Raj's fingers fly across the keys. Madison, maybe we should. No, I cut him off. We're not stopping. Not tonight. What I don't say, my last piece of Jewelry Mom's pearls I'd borrowed and never returned sold yesterday to make this month's payroll. My apartment's eviction notice is folded in my back pocket. We have exactly 8 days of runway left. Behind me, Lee and Priya share a concerned glance. They think I don't notice. My phone buzzes, Andrew again, his 3rd welfare check this week. I silence it without looking, knowing it's not actual concern driving his calls. He's circling, waiting for my failure, collecting evidence for a family intervention. The timer on Raj's screen counts down, 3:46 a.m. Running final sequence, he announces, voice tight. The room falls silent except for the hum of overtaxed laptops and the ancient refrigerator that holds our collective food supplymen, energy drinks, and questionable takeout. The system processes, compiles, executes. 3:47 a.m. Holy shit. Raj stands so abruptly his chair crashes backward. It's holding. I push off from my desk, propelling myself to his station. The terminal displays a cascade of successful authentications under extreme load. The encryption's maintaining integrity, Lai gasps, appearing at my shoulder. Try the malicious packet injection. I order, my heart pounding. Raj's hands are already moving. Deploying now. For 3 minutes, we watch in silence as our system absorbs, identifies, and neutralizes every simulated attack thrown at it. The algorithm isn't just working, it's outperforming anything on the market by an order of magnitude. We did it, I whisper, then louder. We actually fucking did it. Cheers erupt, bodies collide in exhausted hugs. Priya's crying, and Zoe's performing an improvised victory dance on top of her desk. Even stoic Devin cracks a rare smile. I slide down against the wall until I'm sitting on the concrete floor, overwhelmed. For 17 days, we've subsisted on caffeine and determination. For 9 months, we've poured everything into this. 4 words flash across my mind, worth every damn sacrifice. 3 months later, I wake on the office couch, my back protesting years of previous owner's abuse. My apartment is long gone, my car sold, every possession either pawned or stored in my parents' attic without their knowledge. I have exactly 2 outfits left. Both are wrinkled. The shower in our tiny bathroom trickles lukewarm water at best. I brush my teeth with the travel toothbrush that now lives permanently in my laptop bag. Outside, the garage door rattles upward. Devin enters, carrying a box of donuts. Morning, boss. He eyes my makeshift bed. Another night in the executive suite? I stretch, wincing. The ventilation's better than the Ritz. My phone rings government area code. My stomach tightens as I answer, putting it on speaker for Devin to hear. Miss Blake, Lieutenant Colonel Harris, we need to discuss your security protocol demonstration. Devon freezes mid-bite, watching me. Of course, I say, keeping my voice steady despite the adrenaline flood. Was there an issue with our submission? Issue? Number? The voice on the speaker sounds almost amused. The issue is that nobody believes your numbers. Our team says they're impossible. My eyes meet Devin's. We've heard this before from investors, from potential clients, from my brother during his last wellness check when he not so subtly suggested I consider psychiatric evaluation. They're accurate, I say. We can demonstrate live. That's why I'm calling. We want you in DC next Tuesday. Can you make that happen? I glance around our garage, the secondhand furniture, the whiteboard where our breakthrough algorithm still sprawls, the cheap coffee maker that's seen us through uncountable all-nighters. We'll be there. After hanging up, Devin stares at me. How are we paying for flights to DC? I smile grimly. Ever maxed out a credit card for something you believed in? The fundamental problem with existing protocols, I explained to the room of uniformed personnel and government cybersecurity specialists, is their reactive architecture. My team stands behind me, unusually professional in borrowed suits and thrift store finds. Raj steps forward, taking over the technical demonstration while I scan the room. The skepticism is palpable. 7 unknowns from a garage claiming revolution. What Miss Blake has developed, Raj continues, is a predictive defensive matrix that anticipates attack vectors before they're deployed. The lead analyst interrupts. Theoretical models have attempted this for years. The processing requirements make it impossible. I meet his gaze directly. Run your test suite, right now, against our system. The next 47 minutes redefine impossible. When their most sophisticated penetration tools fail against our defenses, the room's energy shifts from skepticism to stunned silence to hungry interest. How soon can you deploy? Lieutenant Colonel Harris asks. I don't hesitate. We're ready now. That night in our hotel room, the whole team crammed into one double to save money. I received the email confirming our first government contract. To Blake Cyber, Zoe toasts with cheap champagne and plastic cups. Raj raises his cup but addresses me directly. Google called again, offered to double their offer. Full team. The room falls silent. Everyone knows Raj's financial situation, his mother's medical bills, his brother's college tuition. What did you tell them? I ask. He clinks his cup against mine, that I already work for the future. I swallow hard, fighting unexpected tears. Christmas Eve, while my family vacations in Aspen, we gather around folding tables in our garage. Devin's partner has strung holiday lights across our whiteboards. Priya's homemade curry steams in mismatched serving bowls. First annual Blake Cyber family dinner. Im announces pouring wine into coffee mugs, the only vessels we have enough of. My phone pings with a notification from First Republic Bank. The contract payment has cleared. Everyone check your accounts, I say quietly. 7 phones emerge. 7 faces register shock as they see their back pay, finally delivered. Merry Christmas, I whisper. As midnight approaches, a call comes in from East Coast Bank's security team. A major attack is underway on their systems. We're implementing your protocol now, their CISO says, voice tight with stress. If this works, we gather around a single monitor, watching as our system engages with the attack in real time. Lines of malicious code appear and vanish, neutralized by our algorithm. It's holding, Raj breathes. By morning, our server load has exploded with inbound requests. Our garage whiteboard, the one where we first cracked the algorithm at 3:47 a.m. after weeks of failure, remains untouched. I've already declared it a sacred artifact. Devin bumps my shoulder gently. Worth it? I think of my sold jewelry, my surrendered apartment, my family's mockery, and the 1,000 small humiliations of the past year. Then I look at our team brilliant outcasts who believed when no one else would, and the monitor, showing our system, protecting millions of accounts in real time. Every second, I reply, what would you sacrifice to build something extraordinary? Madison gave up everything, her home, her savings, and her family relationships. Was it worth it? Her next move reveals all. I trace my fingers along the original garage door mounted on the wall of my office. The peeling paint and dented metal serve as a daily reminder of where Blake Cyber began. From a 500 square F oot rental to Thesa Gleaming 50,000 square F oot headquarters in downtown San Francisco. Through the glass walls of my office, I watch my team of 140 employees move with purpose across the innovation lab. Screens flicker with code, whiteboards overflow with diagrams, and the energy pulses with the same intensity we had in that garage, just multiplied exponentially. My office remains modest compared to the stunning innovation lab I insisted on building first. No mahogany desk or crystal decanter sets here. Just clean lines, functional furniture, and a wall of windows that lets me see my vision unfold in real time. My phone buzzes with the 15th voicemail from Mom this week. Madison, darling, the Andersons are having their annual gala next weekend, and everyone's asking about you. They'd love to hear about your little, well, not so little anymore, company. Call me back, sweetheart. I delete it without listening to the rest. My assistant knocks and enters in one smooth motion. Your brother's in the lobby again, third time this week. Tell him I'm in meetings all day. I don't look up from my laptop. He brought flowers. She raises an eyebrow. Donate them to the children's hospital down the street. She nods and retreats, but returns seconds later. Also, your father called 3 board members yesterday. Claimed he wanted to discuss family investment opportunities. I close my eyes briefly. Send an email to the board. Remind them of our non-disclosure agreements and the protocols for unsolicited contact. After she leaves, I open Instagram, where my feed has become a shrine to my family's unwavering support. Mom posted a throwback photo yesterday at my Harvard graduation with a caption about how she always knew Madison would revolutionize the tech industry. Dad shared an article about Blake Cyber with, so proud of my daughter number, proud dad number, always supported her. I switched tabs to the email I've been crafting for 3 days. It's addressed to all 3 of them, Mom, Dad, and Andrew. Every word has been carefully chosen, stripped of emotion yet crystal clear in meaning. I press send before I can reconsider. In the press conference that afternoon, flanked by my executive team, I field the inevitable question about my entrepreneurial journey. Success is never a solo endeavor, I say into the forest of microphones. Blake Cyber exists because of the brilliant team who believed in our vision when we were working out of a garage. I deliberately avoid mentioning family support and omission that speaks volumes to those listening closely. After the cameras stop rolling, I announce our new initiative, a $10 million fund for women entrepreneurs from toxic environments. The Blake Cyber Resilience Grant will provide not just capital, but mentorship and resources to women whose innovation is undervalued by those closest to them. The news spreads faster than I anticipated. Within days, Andrew's financial practice begins hemorrhaging clients. 2 call me directly, asking if Blake Cyber would consider their investment portfolios. I can recommend several excellent firms, I tell them, but my brother's isn't one of them. At the country club where my parents have been members for 30 years, subtle shifts occur. Invitations to exclusive events mysteriously stop arriving. Their carefully cultivated social ecosystem shows the first cracks of instability. My authentic success exposes the hollowness of their status-seeking existence. Their facade built on appearances and connections buckles under the weight of reality. The reconciliation attempts begin on a Tuesday. Mom appears at our reception desk, eyes red-rimmed, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. Please, I just want 5 minutes with my daughter. The security footage shows my receptionist handling her with professionalism. Miss Blake is unavailable. I'd be happy to pass along a message. Dad takes a different approach, a typed letter left with my assistant. I scan its contents, formal language, carefully worded apologies, and strategic mentions of family legacy. It reads like a business proposal rather than a father's remorse. Andrew's email arrives last. Subject line: family healing. Maddie, we've all made mistakes. It's time to put aside differences and come together as a family again. Some wounds run deep, but blood is thicker than water. I forward all 3 messages to my executive team with a simple question. Thoughts? Their responses vary from cautious to protective. My CTO, who once slept on the garage floor beside me when we couldn't make rent, is the most direct. They want access, not reconciliation. I stare at the original whiteboard we salvaged from the garage, now mounted alongside the door. The faded marker still shows our first algorithm, the one everyone said wouldn't work. If your family who mocked your dreams suddenly wanted access to your success, would you let them back in? What boundaries would you set? I'm still deciding. I arrive at Mabel's diner 20 minutes early. The vinyl booth squeaks as I slide in, the worn table wobbling when I rest my elbows on it. Definitely not the Ritz, Carlton's restaurant where my parents suggested meeting. But neutral ground was non-negotiable. Alexis, my CFO, sits across from me, reviewing notes on her tablet. Her presence isn't just for moral support, she's my witness. They're here, she murmurs, glancing toward the entrance. I don't turn around immediately. Instead, I take a slow sip of water, steadying my breath. When I finally look up, I almost laugh at the absurdity. My father stands awkwardly in the entrance, his Italian leather shoes and tailored suit ridiculously out of place against the diner's checkerboard floor. Mom clutches her Hermes bag against her chest like it might catch something contagious. Andrew scans the room with barely concealed disdain, wiping his hand against his pant leg after touching the door. The hostess leads them through the lunch crowd, nurses ending night shifts, construction workers on break, and tech employees seeking authentic, greasy spoons. My family looks like penguins waddling through a flock of sparrows. Madison. Dad extends his hand formally, as if we're concluding a business meeting. I shake it briefly before they settle into the booth, the leather creaking under their collective discomfort. Alexis introduces herself with professional precision. Alexis Chen, Chief Financial Officer at Blake Cyber. Mom's eyebrows raise a fraction. She didn't expect witnesses. The visual power shift is immediate. In their territory, the country club. Dad's office. Their Beacon Hill home, they tower over me. Here, surrounded by everyday people rather than fawning waitstaff, they shrink. The waitress slides menus in front of us. My parents study them like they're deciphering ancient hieroglyphs. Just coffee, Andrew tells her without looking up. Black. Once she's gone, Dad clears his throat and launches into what can only be a rehearsed speech. His eyes occasionally drift to his Rolex diming himself, probably. Madison, family is about legacy. The Blake name has stood for excellence for 3 generations. His voice carries the same practiced conviction he uses in boardrooms. We've always supported each other's endeavors, and now that you've found success, it's time to reintegrate you into the family's collective vision. I notice he doesn't apologize. Not once. Mom reaches across the table, her manicured hand stopping just short of touching mine. We always believed in you, sweetheart. Always. Even when we understand your methods. The blatant lie hangs between us. I don't grab it. Andrew leans forward, sliding a business card across the sticky tabletop. I've drafted a proposal for family investment coordination. Now that you've attracted significant capital, we should align our financial strategies. I can bring considerable value to Blake Cyber's growth plans. I pick up his card, examining the embossed lettering before slipping it into my pocket. Interesting. Is this the same value you brought when you told the Winthrop Group to avoid my sister's doomed little hobby? His face freezes, the practiced smile faltering. Mom jumps in. We've been so proud telling everyone about your success. The Harrisons were just saying how we always knew your computer thing would take off. Computer thing, I repeat flatly. You mean the cybersecurity firm that you've been claiming to have funded? Dad shifts uncomfortably. We've simply been supporting you the way family should. Emotionally. I open my laptop and turn it so they can see the screen. Let's review what emotional support looks like, shall we? I click through a folder methodically labeled Family Communications. 2020 to 2024. Email screenshots, text message exports, voicemail transcriptions. Dad's email to his investment group. My daughter has unfortunately been caught up in Silicon Valley fever. Would advise avoiding any connection until she comes to her senses. Mom's text to her sister. So embarrassing. Madison's living like a college student again, playing with computers in some garage. We don't bring it up at the club anymore. Andrew's message to our cousin. Had to stage basically an intervention. She won't listen to reason. Throwing away a perfectly good career to chase this startup fantasy. With each click, their faces grow paler. I continue in a calm, even voice. For any relationship with me moving forward, I have non-negotiable terms. I count them off on my fingers. 1. Complete honesty. No more pretending you supported me when you didn't. 2. Business and family remain separate permanently. I will never mix Blake Cyber with Blake family finances. 3. Family therapy if you want any meaningful contact. 4. Public acknowledgement of how you actually treated me during the startup phase. Mom's face crumples. That's humiliating. So was hearing you tell Mrs. Parker I was having a sad little breakdown when I mortgaged my condo to make payroll. Dad's mask finally slips. His face reddens as he slams his palm against the table, rattling the silverware. This is absurd. We gave you everything. The best schools, the connections, the proper upbringing, and this is your gratitude? Some manufactured victim narrative? You're still the same stubborn, ungrateful child who... He catches himself, but too late. Mom's tears flow freely now. Not the strategic kind she usually deploys at country club disputes, but genuine mascara-smearing drops. Andrew's face twists with something ugly and honest. You got lucky. 1 government contract. 1. And suddenly you're too good for the family that... That what? I stand, gathering my things calmly. That tried to sabotage me? That laughed at me? That waited until I was worth something to decide I mattered? Alexis stands with me, placing cash on the table for our untouched coffees. I didn't come for a fight, I say, keeping my voice low. I came to establish whether there's any relationship worth salvaging. The ball's in your court. Dad's facade cracks completely. You ungrateful. He cuts himself off, but his expression reveals everything he's been hiding. The resentment, the anger that I succeeded without him. The realization that he's lost control. Mom's tears aren't strategic now. They fall freely, smudging her carefully applied makeup. For the first time, I glimpsed genuine regret beneath her social mask. Andrew's professional veneer dissolves entirely. This is about me, isn't it? You're punishing us because Dad always favored me. Well, guess what? I earned it. I played by the rules while I built something that matters, I finished for him. And no, Andrew, this isn't about you. It never was. As I walk away, I hear my mother's muffled sob and my father's harsh whisper. Pull yourself together, Margaret. Outside, the California sun feels cleansing. Alexis glances at me. You okay? I take a deep breath. I'm not sure, but I'm free. The weight of expectation of trying to earn love I shouldn't have had to earn slides off my shoulders as we walk toward the car. Behind us, the diner door remains closed. No one follows. Would I have given them a second chance if they'd shown genuine remorse? Maybe. But as I slide into the driver's seat, I realize the ball is truly in their court now. True reconciliation might be possible, but only if they can face what they've done. I stand by the floor-to-ceiling window of Blake Cyber's expanded headquarters, hands clasped behind my back, watching San Francisco's skyline glitter against the evening sky. The reflection in the glass shows a woman I'm still getting used to Madison Blake, CEO of a $1.2 billion company. Behind me, 20 women huddle around workstations in our incubator space. Their voices rise and fall with the passion of dreamers unafraid to build. One woman, Zara, barely 23, gestures wildly as she explains her encryption protocol. Two other founders lean forward, captivated. That's exactly what the banking sector needs, I tell her, crossing the room. The hardwood floors I insisted on no cold marble or sterile tile creak slightly underfoot. Have you considered how it would scale across international borders? Her eyes widen. I didn't think that far ahead. Always think global from day one. I rest my hand on her shoulder. Even from a garage. She glances at the preserved garage door mounted on her main wall, the peeling paint indents like battle scars. Beside it hangs a simple frame containing a $1 biller first revenue taped to a coffee-stained napkin, where I had scribbled our original mission statement. I catch my reflection again. The circles under my eyes have faded, though the intensity in them hasn't. Dr. Sharma had called it progress during yesterday's therapy session. You're allowing yourself to rest without guilt, she'd observed, her voice gentle but direct. That's significant growth, Madison. 12 months of weekly sessions have slowly untangled the knots inside me, the desperate need to prove myself, the fear of vulnerability, the crushing weight of perfectionism born from never being enough for the people who should have loved me unconditionally. My phone vibrates. A text from Jin, my CTO. Cake's here. We're ready when you are. I smile, a genuine one that reaches my eyes. This never happened in the boardrooms of my past. The conference room buzzes with hushed excitement when I enter. My chosen family, the original 7, who believed enough to work out of that garage, have transformed the space with streamers and a lopsided cake. Happy birthday, mad scientist. The frosting declares, using the nickname they gave me during our first all-nighter. Don't you all have work to do? I ask. But there's no edge to my words. Amara, our head of security, wraps me in a fierce hug. 35 looks good on you, boss. Later, as I blow out candles, I think about my mother's hesitant voice on the phone last week. The therapist says I need to acknowledge my role in your pain, she'd said, the words clearly rehearsed but meaningful. I'm trying to understand, Madison. Small steps. Genuine ones. Dad hasn't called in 6 months. After Bloomberg featured me on their cover, he'd sent a terse email. Congratulations on your success despite our misgivings. Not an apology, but an acknowledgement. I haven't responded. Andrew's competing venture folded last quarter. His passion was never technology, only the prospect of wealth. The market recognized the difference. Speech, Jin demands, pulling me back to the present. I shake my head but stand anyway. 4 years ago, I sat at a dining table being told what I built didn't matter. I look around at faces lit with warmth, not judgment. This is what a real family dinner looks like. The room erupts in applause. Amara raises her glass. To chosen family. I mention Mom's therapy progress. The team nods, understanding that healing doesn't mean forgetting. Some relationships will never fully recover, and I've made peace with that reality. Later that night, I walk through the empty office. My footsteps echo as I approach the mounted garage door. I press my palm against its rough surface, feeling the contrast between where we started and where we are. The reflection in the window captures both versions of me simultaneously, the desperate entrepreneur sleeping on a couch between coding sessions and the CEO whose security protocol protects millions of users worldwide. My foundation for first-generation entrepreneurs launches next week. My TED Talk on redefining success beyond family expectations has already racked up 2 million views. I trace the outline of that old garage door with my fingertips. I'm Madison Blake. I whisper to the empty room, and I build things that matter.
I pull my car into the Brookhaven Heritage Club parking lot, each perfectly laid cobblestone seeming to judge my arrival. The grand Georgian-style building looms ahead with its gleaming white columns and meticulously manicured gardens, a monument to old Charleston money and older Charleston traditions. My stomach tightens as I smooth down my light gray jeans. They're designer, but still jeans. The navy blazer I've paired with them is tailored and classic, my loafers Italian leather. I've dressed carefully, knowing what awaits me on that sunny terrace. Still, a voice whispers that it won't be enough. It never is. I spot them before they see me. My father, Victor, ramrod straight in his linen suit. My mother, Lydia, pearls gleaming at her throat. My sister, Celeste, looking like she stepped from a country club catalog. Their faces are arranged in pleasant expressions for anyone watching, but I recognize the familiar tension in their postures. A doorman nods respectfully as I enter. "Good morning, Miss Diaz." The click of my loafers against marble echoes through the grand foyer. Crystal chandeliers cast prism-like patterns across oak-paneled walls. My parents requested this meeting. Sunday brunch at Brookhaven, where they've been members for 30 years, to catch up. Their words, not mine. Father sees me first. His slight frown deepens, eyes narrowing as they travel from my face to my shoes. Mother's lips purse like she's tasted something sour. Celeste merely smirks, already savoring what's coming. "Opal," Father says as I reach their table. His voice carries across the terrace. "Did you forget this is a respectable establishment?" I freeze mid-step. Around us, conversations pause. Silverware stills against fine china. "I'm not sure what you mean," I say, keeping my voice level. Mother sighs dramatically. "Really, Opal, look at yourself. Jeans? Here? I told you we were meeting at Brookhaven." "They're Armani, Mother." "They're denim," she snaps. Everyone else managed to dress appropriately. Celeste chimes in. "You look like staff, for heaven's sake. Did you come straight from cleaning your apartment?" Heads turn. Whispers start. A woman 2 tables over touches her companion's wrist, nodding in our direction. My cheeks burn. Father summons a young waitress with an imperious wave. "Excuse me, could you check with management about the VIP area? Someone doesn't appear to belong." The waitress glances at me, then at my father. Her discomfort is obvious. "I'm sorry, sir. I'll need to call a manager about that." My throat constricts. I'm 7 years old again, wearing the wrong dress to my cousin's birthday. 13, bringing home a B+ when Celeste earned straight A's. 22, choosing the wrong college major. Always disappointing. Never enough. "If I'm embarrassing you," I manage, my voice barely audible, "I can leave." Father's eyes flash victory. Good. This place isn't for people who don't know how to behave. Every guest on the terrace watches now. The magnificent room with its soaring ceilings and wall of windows overlooking Charleston Harbor suddenly feels like a stage, and I'm the unwitting performer in some humiliating play. I turn toward the exit, shoulders hunched, when a gentle hand catches my elbow. "Miss Diaz," says a middle-aged woman in a Brookhaven staff uniform. Her name tag reads, Mrs. Henderson. Just a moment. I recognize her immediately, the hostess whose husband needed expensive medication last winter when their insurance denied coverage. I'd intervened quietly, made some calls, covered what they couldn't afford. She steps closer, speaking softly. "You once helped me pay for my husband's medicine when the insurance denied it. You never mentioned it again, just did what was right." Her gray eyes hold mine. "Don't let them shame you. Some of us see everything that happens here." Something shifts inside me, the tectonic plates of my soul realigning. My spine straightens inch by inch. "Thank you, Mrs. Henderson," I whisper. She nods once, steps back. I turn toward my family again. Their expectant faces, so certain of my retreat, tell a story I've known my whole life. The story of Opal Diaz, the disappointment, the one who never quite measures up. But maybe that's not the only story. I walk back to their table, pull out the empty chair, and take my seat. I believe I'll stay for brunch after all, I say, reaching for a napkin and placing it on my lap with deliberate care. I'm rather hungry. Mother's eyes widen. Celeste's jaw drops slightly. And Father, for perhaps the first time in my memory, appears momentarily at a loss for words. I lift the menu and examine it with newfound interest. Today may have started as their ambush, but something tells me it won't end that way. I watch Father's face change from quiet disapproval to something darker as I sit at the table. His fingers drum against the white tablecloth in a familiar rhythm, the same beat he tapped out when reviewing my disappointing report cards years ago. This is absolutely unacceptable, he says, voice low but carrying across the terrace. Jean's at Brookhaven. I've been a member for 30 years, and never have I witnessed such disregard for standards. Mother dabs her lips with a crisp linen napkin. Victor, perhaps we should speak with management. This reflects poorly on all of us. I agree, Celeste adds, smoothing her peach-colored dress. The dress code exists for a reason. Father stands abruptly, scanning the terrace for staff. His 6'2" frame commands immediate attention, a skill he mastered during his decades presiding over boardrooms. He spots a young woman in a Brookhaven uniform and raises his hand imperiously. Excuse me, he calls. We need to speak with management immediately. The floor manager approaches our table. Kendra Holt. I recognize her from the personnel files. Mid-40s, competent, discreet. Her expression reveals nothing as she addresses my father. Good morning, sir. How may I assist you? 1. Father gestures toward me without making eye contact. This girl shouldn't be here. Call the owner immediately. Celeste smirks, crossing her arms. Someone's about to be escorted out. My throat tightens. The familiar weight of their disapproval presses against my chest. For a moment, I consider surrendering, walking out the door, and sparing everyone the scene Father seems determined to create. But Mrs. Henderson's words echo in my mind. Don't let them shame you. Kendra's professional mask doesn't slip. I understand there's a concern. I'll get Miss Sloan, our executive director, to address this matter. Good, Mother says, straightening her pearl necklace. Someone needs to maintain standards around here. The sunlight filtering through the arched windows catches on Mother's diamonds. Her wedding set 3 carats, flawless clarity and tennis bracelet mark her as a woman of means. Her cream-colored street, John knit suit probably cost more than some people's monthly mortgage payments. Everything about Lydia Diaz announces her status. While we wait, Father launches into familiar territory. This is exactly the problem with your generation, Opal. No respect for institutions or traditions. I remain silent, taking a slow sip of water. Your sister understands propriety. She married appropriately, dresses appropriately, behaves appropriately. Celeste preens under his praise. Jackson and I are still waiting to hear if our membership application will be approved. Perhaps if certain family members didn't create scenes, the process would move faster. Mother pats Celeste's hand. The committee will recognize your suitability, darling. I catalog each barb, each subtle dig. The familiar family dance continues around me. Victor, the patriarch, obsessed with appearances and status. Lydia, the enabler, social climber more concerned with perception than family bonds. Celeste, the golden child who married correctly to a corporate attorney and never strays from the approved path. Their shared belief, Opal is the family disappointment. I spot Nora Sloan approaching our table. She moves with practiced grace, her tailored burgundy suit conveying authority without ostentation. Behind her follows Maggie Adams, her assistant, carrying a leather portfolio. Mrs. Henderson watches discreetly from the service station, her presence oddly reassuring. Good morning. Nora addresses the table, her voice measured. I'm Nora Sloan, executive director of Brookhaven. I understand there's a situation. The owner is actually on site today. Father stands taller, buttoning his jacket. Then get the owner. We'll see what they think about the dress code. Nora's expression remains neutral. I've already spoken with the owner. And? Father demands. A beat of silence follows. Nora turns to look directly at me, something like respect in her eyes. Miss Diaz is the legal owner of Brookhaven. The words land like thunder in still air. Silverware clatters against china as mother drops her fork. Celeste's mouth forms a perfect O. Father freezes, his hand suspended mid-gesture. I meet Nora's gaze and nod slightly. Perhaps we should continue this conversation in your office, Nora. Of course, Miss Diaz. This is absurd, Father sputters, color rising in his face. What kind of joke is this? I stand, straightening my blazer. It's not a joke, Father. You cannot possibly own Brookhaven, Mother whispers, eyes darting around to see who might be listening. Follow me, please, Nora says, gesturing toward the main building. Celeste grabs my arm as I pass. What are you doing? You'll humiliate us all. No, I say quietly, removing her hand. That was your specialty today. We follow Nora down the hallway toward the administrative offices. The familiar portraits of founding members line the corridor, old Charleston money, looking down with painted disapproval at our procession. Nora's office reflects her personality, organized, tasteful, effective. She indicates the seating area, where Maggie has already arranged files on the polished conference table. Please, she says, gesturing to the chairs. Father remains standing. I demand an explanation. Maggie opens the portfolio. The documentation is quite clear, sir. Brookhaven Heritage Club was acquired 9 months ago for $16.4 million as a distressed property, following financial mismanagement by the previous board. The purchaser, Nora continues, was Diaz Leisure Holdings LLC, with Miss Opal Diaz as managing partner. There are currently $6.7 million in capital improvements underway. Celeste shakes her head violently. This is impossible. You can barely manage your own life. How could you possibly? You just tried to remove the owner from her own property, I interrupt, my voice steady, despite the hammering of my heart. Perhaps that's worth considering before you continue. Father sinks into a chair, his face ashen. Mother stares at the documents as if they might transform into something more comprehensible. Celeste glares at me with a mixture of shock and betrayal. For 31 years, they've defined me by their expectations. Expectations I could never meet. The quiet tech girl. The disappointment. The one who would never amount to anything significant. Now, sitting across from them with the weight of their judgment suddenly irrelevant, I feel something unfamiliar bloom in my chest. Freedom. Father's face reddens as he stares at the membership files spread across Nora's desk. The veins in his neck bulge against his starched collar. This must be some mistake. He slams his palm on the polished mahogany. I'll have my attorney review every detail of this so-called acquisition. Nobody buys a place like Brookhaven without word getting around Charleston. I remain seated, hands folded in my lap. The familiar knot in my stomach has transformed into something different. Not fear, but resolve, hardening like concrete. There's no mistake, Father. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. The sale was kept quiet at the previous owner's request, a condition I respected. Mother leans forward, her pearl necklace swinging. Darling, you can't possibly run something like this. It's a Charleston institution. The responsibility, the social obligations, which I've been handling for 9 months without anyone noticing. I meet her gaze directly, including you. Celeste circles the office like a shark scenting blood. You did this to humiliate us, didn't you? You knew we'd been members for 30 years and you bought it to what? Prove a point? I bought a distressed property as an investment, I reply. The fact that it's Brookhaven is coincidental. Father's eyes narrow to slits. How did you even afford this place? $16 million? His tone suggests I must have stolen it or worse. My tech startup sold last year. I've been diversifying my portfolio. The words hang in the air. I never told them about the sale. They never asked about my work. The silence stretches between us, filled with 3 decades of dismissal. I turn to Nora, who stands poised near the door. What does the rulebook say about member conduct? She steps forward, professional and composed. Article 7.2 covers conduct damaging to the club's reputation. Specifically, public behavior that creates disturbances, embarrasses other members, or reflects poorly on Brookhaven standards. And what's the procedure? I ask. The incident must be documented with witness statements. A temporary suspension can be issued immediately, followed by review from the Compliance and Discipline Committee within 14 days. Nora recites this without consulting any documents. The committee then determines if the suspension should be lifted, extended, or converted to revocation. Let's follow it to the letter, I say. Maggie, already taking notes on her tablet, nods and slips out. Father's laugh is sharp, brittle. This is absurd. We're founding members. You're members who violated club policy. I correct him. Status doesn't exempt anyone. I stand slowly, feeling a strange calm settle over me. For 31 years, I've navigated the minefield of their expectations, watching every step, bracing for explosions of disapproval. But ownership of this space has shifted something fundamental inside me. Not just legal ownership of Brookhaven, but ownership of myself. For 31 years, I say, my voice low but clear, I've let you treat me as less than Celeste, less than your expectations, less than worthy of basic respect. Mother's face crumples in practiced distress. That's not true. We only wanted what was best. Today you tried to have me removed from my own property. I cut her off, something I've never done before. Not because I violated any rule, but because I didn't meet your standards of appearance. Father rises, towering over the desk. You watch your tone, young lady. I won't be spoken to. That ends today, I continue, as if he hadn't spoken. Your membership privileges are suspended, effective immediately. His face flushes deeper. You can't do this. I can. I am. I press the intercom button. Nora, could you come in, please? She enters promptly, followed by Maggie, who carries a folder of documents. Mrs. Henderson waits in the doorway, her gray eyes steady. Mrs. Henderson, would you be willing to provide a statement about what you witnessed on the terrace? I ask. She steps forward. I'd be happy to, Miss Diaz. Her voice is firm. I observed Mr. and Mrs. Diaz publicly humiliating their daughter and attempting to have her removed from the premises. Miss Renner participated as well. She nods toward Celeste. The doors open again, and 2 security officers enter. They stand at attention, waiting. File minutes of incident, I instruct Nora. Issue a 30-day interim suspension for all 3 parties, pending committee review. Nora nods. I'll forward the complete file to the Compliance and Discipline Committee within 14 days as required. You'll supervise to avoid any conflict of interest, I add. This is outrageous, Father sputters. I've been a member here since before you were born. Which means you've had ample time to learn the rules. I gesture to the security officers. These gentlemen will escort you to collect your belongings from the locker rooms, then to your vehicles. Mother's tears flow freely now. You can't do this to your own family. I'm not doing anything to you. I correct her. I'm enforcing the rules you broke. The same rules you've expected everyone else to follow all these years. Maggie hands them each a formal notice detailing the suspension. Celeste crumples hers into a ball. You're making a terrible mistake, she hisses. No, I shake my head. For once I'm not. The security officers step forward, polite but firm. If you'll come with us, please. Father looks as if he might refuse, but after a moment's consideration, he buttons his jacket with trembling fingers. As they reach the door, I speak one last time. No one deserves disrespect just because they're not wearing designer clothes, or because they don't fit someone else's idea of belonging. That applies to everyone who enters Brookhaven, member or staff. After they're gone, I sink back into my chair. The office falls silent except for the ticking of an antique clock. Through the window, I watch them cross the parking lot, Mother leaning on Father's arm, Celeste stomping ahead. 31 years of criticism, dismissal, and conditional love, all embodied in those 3 figures growing smaller in the distance. Mrs. Henderson returns with a cup of coffee and places it before me. Well done, Miss Diaz. I wrap my hands around the warm porcelain. Thank you. Not just for that. She gestures toward the door. For what you did for my husband last winter. You never mentioned it, never asked for anything in return. I shrug. It was the right thing to do. She nods, understanding what I don't say. Some acts of kindness need no audience or recognition. My family never understood that. The revelation hits me like a physical force. I've spent my whole life seeking their approval, chasing validation they were incapable of giving. The startup I built, the millions I earned, buying this club. None of it stemmed from pure ambition, but from a desperate need to prove myself worthy of love that should have been unconditional. But I never needed it. Not their approval, not their validation, not their version of love with all its conditions and sharp edges. I take a sip of coffee, feeling the warmth spread through my chest. Outside, their car pulls away from Brookhaven. leaving 3 empty parking spaces. And for the first time since arriving this morning, I breathe freely. 2 days later, my phone vibrated for the 11th time tonight. I leave it face down on the nightstand, the blue notification light pulsing like a tiny, angry heartbeat in my darkened bedroom. The digital clock reads 11:42 p.m. The screen illuminates with Celeste's name. Again, I know exactly what she's saying without looking. The same message, just repackaged with increasing desperation. I finally reach over, my curiosity getting the better of me. The text glows harsh in the darkness. You can't do this. Think about what people will say. People. Always people. The nebulous jury of Charleston society that has sentenced me to a lifetime of inadequacy. I scroll through the barrage that preceded it. 3 missed calls from Mother. 2 from Father. 7 texts from Celeste. 1 particularly blistering email from Father with legal notice in the subject line. Mother's voicemail plays next, her voice pitched high with practiced distress. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. Is that what you wanted? To put him in the hospital? Call me back immediately. My thumb hovers over the screen. For a moment, that familiar knot forms in my stomach, the Pavlovian response to family disapproval cultivated over 3 decades. Instead, I power off the phone completely. The screen goes black. The room falls silent. For the first time in years, I sleep without interruption. Morning sunlight streams through my bedroom windows when Amara Ramirez, my attorney, arrives at my downtown apartment. Her charcoal suit and no-nonsense demeanor match the stack of documents she places on my kitchen counter. Coffee? I ask, already pouring her a cup. Black, thank you. She accepts the mug and opens her portfolio. I've reviewed everything. Your actions fully comply with both the Brookhaven bylaws and South Carolina law. I exhale slowly, not realizing I'd been holding my breath. They have no standing to sue. She continues, sliding a document toward me. The suspension follows proper procedure to the letter. The committee will make their final determination independently. My father has influential friends, I say, the words carrying decades of witnessed power plays. Amara's expression remains impassive. Friends don't override bylaws or surveillance footage. My recommendation is to document everything but make no public comments whatsoever. I nod, stirring my coffee. Archive everything. This isn't about public humiliation. No? One eyebrow arches slightly. It's about consequences, I clarify. Something my family has managed to avoid their entire lives. Nora calls me later that afternoon. Your father's been busy, she says without preamble. He's contacted 3 board members directly. And discovered most don't know him personally. There's a hint of satisfaction in her voice. 2 asked why a suspended member was contacting them about an active disciplinary matter. I press my hand against the cool glass of my office window, looking out over Charleston Harbor. Has he threatened anyone? Not directly, but Maggie overheard him in the parking lot yesterday, speaking rather loudly on his phone about incompetent management and family connections in Colombia. A text from Celeste appears on my laptop screen through the synced messaging app. Marshall refuses to get involved. Says you went too far this time. Hope you're happy. Marshall, Celeste's corporate attorney husband. The family's backup legal strategy, apparently. Has my mother reached out to anyone? I ask. Her usual lunch group canceled yesterday. The Harrington Wilson Charity Committee meeting was mysteriously rescheduled. Nora's voice remains neutral, but I detect the unspoken message. Lydia Diaz's social circle has suddenly developed scheduling conflicts. And father's attorney? Called this morning requesting the surveillance footage. When informed it had already been secured as evidence, he advised against further discussion. His exact words were, "The evidence is clear." I hang up and wander through my apartment, stopping at the small balcony overlooking the historic district. Buildings from the 1700s stand shoulder to shoulder with modern structures, the old and new coexisting despite their differences. The next morning, I arrive at Brookhaven earlier than usual. Staff members nod respectfully as I pass. Not the fearful deference they showed my father, but something genuine. Mrs. Henderson joins me on the terrace, now serving breakfast to early risers. The staff lounge is buzzing with what happened, she says, refilling my water glass. Good buzz or bad? Good, very good. She glances around before continuing. For years, your family treated people like furniture. The way your father spoke to Rosa in housekeeping last month, she shakes her head. Now everyone knows dignity matters here. Does it bother anyone that I suspended my own family? Mrs. Henderson straightens. Quite the opposite. It shows no one's above the rules, even the owner's family. Members notice too. Several stop by my table, introducing themselves properly for the first time. One elderly gentleman clasps my hand and simply says, "About time someone remembered what this place was founded for. Community, not cruelty." 2 weeks pass. The Compliance and Discipline Committee completes their investigation with methodical precision. Witness statements, CCTV footage, documentation of previous incidents involving my family that staff had never formally reported, fearing repercussions. Their verdict arrives in a sealed envelope on my desk one Wednesday morning. Permanent membership revocation for Victor and Lydia Diaz. Associate status terminated for Celeste Renner. 30-day appeal window. I sign the notification letters myself. My hand doesn't shake. My signature flows across each page with unwavering clarity. That evening, I drive home along the Battery, past antebellum homes with wide porches, where generations of Charleston families have watched the tides come and go. Change comes slowly here, they say. Traditions endure. Family names matter. But sometimes the tide shifts suddenly, dramatically, washing away what once seemed permanent. My phone rings. The appeal window has opened. No appeals are filed. A week later, the glass elevator in my office building offers a perfect view of Charleston Harbor. Normally, I savor this moment, watching sailboats slice through water while mentally preparing for my day. Not today. The knot in my stomach tightens as the doors open to reveal Celeste pacing my reception area. "You're early," I say, stepping off the elevator. My sister whirls around. Her eyes are red-rimmed, her caramel hair disheveled in a way I've never seen before. Celeste, without perfect hair, is like seeing a cardinal in winter, startling and out of place. "This couldn't wait." Her voice cracks. "You have to stop this, Opal." Face beacon care. My assistant Danny glances up with concern. I nod toward my office. "Let's talk privately." Celeste follows me, collapsing into a leather chair as soon as my door clicks shut. The polished glass and chrome of my workspace seems to amplify her disarray. "Mom hasn't left the house in weeks," she blurts, tears spilling onto her cheeks. "Dad is devastated. His blood pressure is so high the doctor added another medication yesterday." I remain standing, arms folded. "That's unfortunate." "Unfortunate?" Celeste springs up. "The Thompsons uninvited them from their anniversary gala. Dad's golf partners suddenly have schedule conflicts. Mom's charity committee suggested she take a break until things settle down. Those are natural consequences of their actions. Is your revenge worth destroying our family name?" Her voice rises, hands trembling. "The Diaz name means something in this town, Opal. Or it did before you decided to humiliate our parents." "I didn't humiliate anyone. They did that themselves." "Do you even hear yourself? After everything they sacrificed for us." "What exactly did they sacrifice, Celeste?" Her mouth opens, then closes. She tries again. "They gave us everything. They gave us things, not support, not acceptance." The phone on my desk buzzes. I ignore it. "This isn't just about them now," Celeste says, switching tactics. "Uncle Robert called me yesterday, Aunt Patricia the day before. Pastor Williams wants to meet about forgiveness and healing the family rift." How convenient that everyone's concerned now. Because they care about this family, Richard Holbrook offered to mediate. Dad's golf buddy? The same man who laughed when Dad called my tech company playing with computers? I shake my head. The Family Peace Committee is a little late. My phone buzzes again. Celeste glances at it, then back at me. "You've made your point," she says softly. "You've shown everyone you have power now. Isn't that enough?" Her words strike deeper than she knows. Is that what I'm doing? Wielding power just because I can? The thought leaves me cold. "I need to take this call," I say, reaching for the phone. "We can talk later." Celeste grabs her purse. "Just remember, when you're sitting alone in your big empty club, we're still your family." Her parting shot lingers after she leaves. That night, alone in my apartment, I stare at framed photos on my bookshelf. A Diaz family portrait from when I was 10, Celeste and I in matching dresses, mother's hand resting possessively on my shoulder, father standing tall behind us all. I pick up the frame, my finger tracing the glass over my younger face. Was I too harsh? The weight of lifelong conditioning to maintain family harmony presses down on me. My hand hovers over my phone. One call to Celeste could ease this pressure. One apology, one concession. The family would close ranks again. The tension would dissipate. But at what cost? I set down the photo and pull out an old leather-bound book from my bottom drawer. My childhood diary, its pages yellowed, the handwriting evolving from childish scrawl to teenage precision. The 12th of October 2003. Dad said my science fair project was adequate, even though I won first place. The 8th of June 2008. Mom told Grandma Wilson I was finally looking presentable at graduation. Everyone laughed. The 15th of May 2015. College graduation. Mom said, "At least you finished." Dad complained about missing his golf game for the ceremony. The 21st of December 2019. Told family about venture capital funding. Celeste changed subject to her husband's promotion. Dad said playing with computers isn't real work. Page after page documents years of small cruelties and casual dismissals. Not dramatic abuse, just the steady drip of disappointment that eroded my sense of worth year after year. I close the diary, certainty hardening within me like amber. No more, I whisper to the empty room. Their problems are not my responsibility. 3 days later, we meet at a neutral location, a private dining room at the Carlton downtown. I arrive first, selecting a seat that faces the door. Father enters like he's storming a boardroom, Mother and Celeste trailing in his wake. He doesn't sit. "This has gone on long enough," he announces, as if declaring the matter closed. I remain seated. "Hello to you too, Father." Mother dabs at her eyes with a handkerchief. "After everything we've done for you, Opal, the sacrifices we made." "You've always been selfish," Celeste adds, "but this is beyond anything." The accusations pile up like driftwood before a storm. I let them wash over me, neither defending nor attacking. When they finally exhaust themselves, silence falls. "I accept that this is how you see me," I say quietly. Father frowns. This isn't the script he expected. "I'm not here to negotiate," I continue. "The decision stands." "Now see here," Father begins. "I won't discuss it further. This meeting is courtesy, not obligation." Mother's lips tremble. "Where will we go? Everyone knows what happened." "You're free to join other clubs. Charleston has many." "You can't just cut us off." Celeste protests. "Our relationship moving forward is entirely up to you." I meet each of their eyes in turn, but it will be based on mutual respect or it won't exist at all. I stand, smoothing my skirt. Father's face flushes crimson. Mother's tears flow freely now. Celeste stares at me like I've grown a second head. "You're making a mistake," Father warns. "No," I say with quiet certainty. "I'm correcting one that's gone on far too long." I walk out without looking back, my steps light despite the weight of their stares. For the first time in my life, I'm not running from my family's disapproval. I'm walking toward something better. 6 months have transformed Brookhaven. The terrace blooms with fresh arrangements as I weave between tables at our annual charity gala. No longer an outsider, but the woman who revitalized this institution. "Miss Diaz, the silent auction numbers are impressive," Nora whispers, tablet in hand. "We've already doubled last year's total." I nod, grateful for her efficiency. The renovation budget paid off. The grand ballroom gleams under new chandeliers, walls freshly painted in warm creams rather than the previous sterile white. Staff move with purpose, their uniforms redesigned for comfort without sacrificing elegance. Membership applications increased 18% last quarter, Nora adds, and staff turnover dropped to almost zero. Numbers tell stories others might miss. When I purchased Brookhaven, employee morale languished near rock bottom. Now, genuine smiles replace forced politeness. I pause at the terrace doorway, the exact spot where, half a year ago, my family tried to have me removed. Today, members greet me with genuine warmth rather than cold assessment. "Miss Diaz, beautiful evening." "Mr. Patterson," a retired judge, lifts his glass. "Best gala in 20 years. The compliment lands without qualification, no implied criticism lurking beneath the surface. Mrs. Henderson approaches, her new title of hospitality director displayed on a discreet badge. 6 months ago, she was a hostess whose kindness provided my turning point. "The kitchen staff wanted you to know they appreciate the new equipment," she says. "Makes a world of difference. They deserve tools that work." She studies me, eyes crinkling. "You've changed this place. People feel valued now." Her words warm something deep inside me. That was the goal. We both know what remains unspoken. Victor and Lydia joined Palmetto Oaks Country Club across town last month. Celeste texts occasionally tentative messages about weather or asking if I received a holiday card. The raw wounds have begun to heal, though the scars remain. I excuse myself and climb the stairs to the balcony overlooking Charleston Harbor. The sunset paints the water, copper, and gold. Below, laughter rises from guests mingling on the lawn. For 31 years, I chased approval that should have been freely given. I measured my worth against impossible standards, believing the lie that boundaries equal selfishness. Now I understand. Respect isn't demanded or begged. It arrives when you choose what's right, even when that choice costs something. A young server, Jennifer, according to her name tag, refills my water glass. Her hands tremble slightly. "Everything all right?" I ask. She hesitates. "May I ask you something, Miss Diaz?" I gesture toward the empty chair beside me. "My family," she starts, then swallows. "They say I'm throwing my life away going to college. That I should stay and help with my younger siblings instead." The weight in her voice echoes a familiar burden. "Your life belongs to you, not to them," I tell her. "Their disappointment is their problem to solve, not yours." Her eyes widen. "No one ever told me that before." "Someone should have." I smile. "The scholarship program might interest you. Nora has the details." 2. After she leaves, I sip my water and watch the sunset deepen. Peace settles over me like a comfortable shawl. "Mrs. Henderson joins me briefly, gazing out at the harbor. "Justice finally came back around," she observes. "Justice never left," I reply. "People just forgot what it looks like." She nods and returns to her duties. I remain, glass in hand, breathing in the salt-tinged air. The sun sinks lower, painting the clouds violet and rose. A different woman stands here now, one who finally understands her worth isn't determined by others' opinions. The light fades. I don't.